Hey guys, Think Master 51 or 1911 Man here to do another review. So, what are we here to review today? Today we are here to review a rare gun I have not seen a video review for online. I've seen shooting videos and some problem videos, which I will also address as I have also encountered these same problems. This is a KJW P14.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Now, the KJW P14 has since been discontinued as I guess the popularity just wasn't there. And I have run into some issues where I have linked to them discontinuing it. I will address those later once again. So let's start out. What is the KJW P14? What's it based off of? The KJW P14 is based off of the Para-Ordnance P14 Covert. It is a double stack 45 ACP 1911 style handgun based on the P14, which is basically a basic GI double stack 1911. This has just been upgraded. It has some Novak style sights. It has a bigger dovetail front sight. It's obviously double stack, and it's got an STI trigger here. It's got kind of like a Springfield Armory style trigger back there. It's got a larger beaver tail. Excuse me. And it's got a memory pad or speed bump, or there's numerous nomenclatures for this safety. It also has ambidextrous thumb safeties that enable you to do right and left-handed manipulation of the safety. The primary manipulation is on the right side, so it's almost unnecessary to have it left-handed, as I shoot left-handed, so actually I'm ambidextrous, so it doesn't really matter, but when I try to shoot this left-handed, the manipulation's not really there. One thing that really doesn't aid in manipulation is this magazine release. Unfortunately, this magazine release is very light. When you take it out of a holster and you try to present the firearm, it sometimes will activate the magazine release and it will just fall to the ground and disabling your firearm as the gas is held in your magazine. So that's kind of an issue. Excuse me. Now, the magazines, like I said earlier, are double stack. So they are the BBs feed in crisscross. So you have 20 plus rounds. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the amount you can have in this gun. This is a Western Arms style gas blowback handgun. It is not based on Marui, which is one of KJW's primary clones. Is they try to make Marui things, but that's I think that's only just previously or just now they're starting to do that because their USPs almost look like they were based on WA or Western Arms by this setup in their KJW USP. That's almost the identical setup for their gas system. So it makes me think this was in their trial era. This is early 2000s. This came out. It just makes me think that's when they were really kind of testing the waters to see what they wanted to replicate. So let's get into more detail about this magazine. Now, this magazine I really like, just solely for the fact that it has metal feed lips that are actually part of the magazine design, which I really like. It almost has this folded steel look. It looks like everything was folded around. But I mean, I keep coming back to the magazine or the feed lips just because it's rare you ever find feed lips that are part of the magazine. A lot of Marui guns, all the Marui guns I'm familiar with, are plastic feed lips. I know KWA has metal feed lips, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, I really like the magazine, except for the fact that the knocker valve back here backs itself out. There's one malfunction video on YouTube shows a guy dry firing the gun, and you can kind of see the slide moving back. I've remedied that problem. How you remedy that problem is you back this screw out, you take that plate out, and you see a brass O-ring or a brass valve with two notches. Tighten the notches up, and the magazine should be relatively reliable. So I mean, I fixed that, which I really liked because then it got back to shooting normally, and I really liked it. So more issues with the gun. Unfortunately, yes, there are issues with the gun. Some issues that I have with the gun is the molding on the gun is really strange. You can kind of see here, even on the safety, you can kind of see it's not completely round. You can see there's edges here, so it almost looks like someone milled this after the fact. And then you can see the bumper pad has different edges, different flat spaces. It's like that pretty much everywhere on the gun. There's wear points on the beaver tail, just things like that. It's very different. I've never seen that on an airsoft gun. Another thing I have an issue with is KJW is known for their finishes on their Glocks, and obviously that finish has not carried over on these P14s. This is just from normal holster wear. Nothing. It hasn't been through ridiculous amounts of usage, as it's more or less of a safe coin. Now another issue I have with this gun is the outer barrel. For whatever reason, KJW has decided to make their outer barrels, their barrel hoods and their breeches, out of plastic, and then the actual outer barrel out of metal. So this is metal. That is plastic. Anybody see an issue with that? I do. When you try to remove this plastic outer barrel, you run into the risk of possibly breaking the threads off of the separate chamber and chamber / barrel hood. You run into the problem of breaking off your threads. So that was an issue. Another issue I had with this gun was the front sight. It is a dovetail front sight, and as you can see, it's not exactly stock, or I don't know if you can actually see that, but I actually ended up having to super glue the front sight on as it enjoyed backing itself out. It liked to drift to the left, drift to the right, and then sometimes it would just fall off altogether. So I actually ended up going under and super gluing it, which also means I might not even be able to take that off, but I don't exactly plan to, because like I said, it's dovetailed and there's no screw, so there's nothing to hold it. Now, some things I really like about this handgun. Surprisingly enough, I love the width. It is a fat ass handgun. It is not skinny by any means of the word. I have a PX4 frame here, and this is obviously bigger than this. It's thicker. I also have a Glock 19 frame, and once again, once again, you can see this is far thicker than this. So, you know, you just run into, now if you have smaller hands, I don't know that I have small hands. I don't know that I have large hands, but for whatever reason, this handgun just fills my hands out beautifully. And I just can't explain it. It's a very comfortable handgun to shoot. I really like the size. Originally I thought it was going to be too fat for me. That just is not the case. It is incredibly comfortable for me. Surprisingly enough, you'd think these grips would add more to an already large frame, and then this just illustrates it even more, how large it is. Just that big gaping hole for this big monstrosity to be shoved in. Now, another thing that I really like about this handgun is the magazine ejection. Not the magazine release, as I've previously stated I did not like, but I like that when you press the magazine release, it pops out. It's like a very positive pop out. That might be metal on metal, but there is also an assistance integrally. There's this piece right here, that little metal piece, actually provides downward force on the magazine, and when you push it in, it's under spring tension and it pushes up on that piece, and that piece then forces the magazine to be pressed out, which I really like. It's more positive when the slide is down, which I will not do because I've actually broken the outer barrel to threads. These are just glued on right now. Now this issue will be remedied once I get my package on Thursday. You will most certainly see that unboxing video, and then I will explain. So it works a lot better when you close the drop this slide. Can't talk. Oh. And there you go. Okay, so some other things I really like about this handgun. I think I've ragged on it a little bit much. So let me illustrate some things I really like about it. Another thing I really like about it is the full-length guide rod. Now, I like both. I don't mind if something has a full-length guide rod. I don't mind if it has a standard GI guide rod. But in this case, I really like having a full-lengther because I think it really assists in this particular handguns how smooth and how stable the slide is. It really keeps, I really think it keeps it in line, keeps a good draw, and I really do think in this case, this particular case, the full-length guide rod helps a lot. Some other things that I really like about it are the magazine, or the slide release. You may be asking, why do you like the slide release? Well, it's not necessarily the slide release I like. It's a standard GI style serrated slide release. What I really like is, unlike in your WEs, which I'm very accustomed to, and sometimes in your Maruis, when you pull the slide back to the rear, first of all, there's an incredibly positive click and positive, just click on the magazine, or on the slide to the slide release. A really positive click. Now, when you were to drop the magazine and place it in a fresh one, just pretending there's a fresh magazine in here, you can pull back the slide and let it go forward without even thinking about touching the slide release. I really like that because under stress, or if you're trying to do speed reloads, or anything really just speedy in general, it doesn't need to be speed reload, I like to grab the biggest thing possible. I do that with real guns and pretty much everything. Like even on M4, there's a little bitty paddle release. I just grab the charging handle, yank it back, and let it fly home. So I mean, I like the biggest slide release possible, which means I just yank back the slide and let the slide go home instead of trying to finagle a small little slide release. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't by no means small. I say that, but then it's not completely accurate. It's not small, but then again, it is also not as big as or as easy as just yanking a slide back. So I like to yank the slide. And something that assists me in yanking the slide, first of all, is, like I said, it drops without having to touch the slide release, but also is these really nice serrations on the slide. They're not like half-assed kind of shallow serrations, but no, they are, if I can show you, you can kind of see how deep those are. You can definitely see how deep those are. Those are very, very deep serrations that go really far into the slide. You can even see it almost dips down. I'll put a white backing on there. It almost dips in, and they're really, really nice and positive. No matter what, I've done wet testing with these, I've done dry testing, I've done muddy testing. Now, I say that, but I have not thrown my handgun into mud. I will not do that with any of my 1911s, as I don't believe 1911s are meant to do that. Really, no guns are really meant to do that, but more so a 1911. Got it. Okay. Excuse me. Now, when you yank back your slide and you present your gun to the target, the next thing you want to worry about is what? Your trigger pull. Now, assuming you've already clicked your safety off, don't worry about that. But I do not know how I feel about the trigger pull on this gun. There's a little bit of play, and then it kind of rocks a little, and then obviously I need to depress this and deactivate that. You pull, and it's almost a really mushy trigger. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It feels really mushy. It feels like a Glock trigger. But I say that, but then I have this Glock frame once more with the trigger set, and this has more of an assertive trigger than this does. It has a lot better trigger. Now, I say that, but it's still a Glock-ish trigger. It's very mushy. It's not great, but I mean, it's still better than this, which I was very surprised. Just being that it's a 1911, they inherently have good triggers, and obviously that's just not the case here. So that's an issue I had with it. Another issue I had with it goes back to the chamber, and it is that this gun, as I previously have been praising these feed lips, if you enjoy shooting crappy ammunition, so you don't have to spend a lot of money to practice or just have fun, I shoot crappy .12s out of my gun. You can flame me in the comments. I don't care. I feel as if that as long as they're not in AEGs or gas blowback rifles, it's okay. But I mean, I want to be able to enjoy my gun. It's kind of like shooting Tula ammunition, or it's kind of like shooting Wolf steel case, incredibly dirty ammunition out of like an AR or a handgun. I mean, I feel like a gun's supposed to, or I feel like BBs are supposed to come out of it no matter what. I don't think it should have problems feeding .12s. Now, I understand why, because they're .12s. It might have to do with something with the weight. I don't know why I'm still holding this. Excuse me. But sometimes the BBs, if you're trying to shoot fast, or even then, I had the problem even when I wasn't trying to shoot fast. The BBs will occasionally get popped out because the blowback housing does something freaky, and it will make a BB pop up and then wedge itself in between here and the top of the nozzle. And when the slide flies home, it then cracks my barrel hood and chamber. So, which obviously is painted plastic, so the paint chips a little bit, and it just doesn't look good. It looks like it's rippled and just looks kind of not good. So that is another issue I have with this. Another thing to note on this handgun is it has great gas efficiency. I was about to say fuel efficiency, but it's not a car. So the fuel efficiency on this gun is just phenomenal. The gas efficiency on this gun is phenomenal. It chugs through, like, it doesn't chug at all. I mean, it's like a Prius of guns. It's almost like a KW8. It just keeps going, even though it's double stack, even though it's Western Arms. It goes and goes. It's a really, really nice system, and I really would like to attribute that to the moderately light recoil spring, which I personally like, because I don't have airsoft guns for recoil. I have them so I can shoot people with BBs and win games. I mean, that's the whole point of airsoft, is it not? That and fun. But I don't want the recoil, because that means I can't put BBs where I want them. So, saying that, this is also an incredibly accurate gun. I don't have a target, but I will be making separate videos, as for whatever reason I did not decide to make one. Sorry. It's a very, very gas efficient gun. I really, really like it. Now, saying that, it runs out of BBs too fast. Whenever you just take a shot of this thing, you're just like, do, 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 do. Now, one thing that I attribute to this really good gas efficiency is a light recoil spring and the full-length guide rod, which makes it so it has an easier and smoother reciprocating slide movement. So the mass is a lot more easy. That, and I like lubing this thing. I will make a separate video on lubrication. And I really do attribute a lot of that to the full-length guide rod. Just like I said, specific to this gun. I feel if it didn't have this guide rod, it might be a little sluggish. I don't know. Well, I take that back. I do know because I put a GI-style guide rod in here, and it kind of chugged along. I mean, I could feel the difference when you'd shoot it. I can't really explain it, but you can almost feel the difference. The slide moving back and then going back forward felt a lot more delayed. I feel like there was a bit of a hang time. If you were to shoot it in slow motion, you would see the slide go to the rear and then just kind of hang there and then go back forward. So I really do like the full-length guide rod. And I got to be honest with you, when you rack it back, it looks kind of cool like that. I like the silver barrels, the silver barrel look. It looks really nice. So all in all, I really like the KJW P14. It's unfortunate that it has some of the inherent issues that it's had. It's also unfortunate that you can barely find them anymore. And if you do, I was lucky enough to find one that worked. Previously, I had only found ones that were for parts. And as soon as I saw this, I had to jump on it. So that, guys, is my review for the KJW P14. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, have a nice day.